Time to fight fear with faith. Jody Paar is a survivor who is no longer staying silent. She and her guest will fuel you up so you too can fight fear. Uplifting and inspirational stories that will rock you to your core. We don't tiptoe around the truth. We steamroll it in a bold way. This is your life, and now is the time to start living it. Get ready for the Faith Over Fear podcast with Jody Paar. Now, welcome Jody Paar to inspire you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Faith Over Fear. I am Jody Paar. I am so excited about our special guest we have today. I call it divine alignment. I get a lot of different inbox messages from different stories, and this guy, Too Tall, I learned about. It's his aunt, and he told me her story, and it is so impactful and powerful. And so I'm going to turn it over to Carressa Christian. She is the director of Chrysalis Houses and Corporations. She has a story to tell, guys. So get ready, buckle in. We about to just steamroll it and go for it. So Carressa, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. I'm so excited.
Thank you. So I want you, Carressa, if you would, we always start with the fear. We always start with the part that, you know, they say when you're born, you're just born without anything and just completely blank. There's no harm. There's nothing that happens to you. And then as life goes on, certain things happen. So tell us when the first time you felt fear was.
And the first time I felt fear was, growing up in the projects and, being, kind of poor, so the fear was that, I wasn't going to be accepted, that I was going to be rejected. And then my skin complexion, I was the darkest one of all of my sisters and brothers. So just fear of not just being accepted and fear of not just being loved.
Yeah, I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. Yes. So going into teenage adulthood, did that follow you? Like what happened next?
Well, when I got into, I think it started in elementary school, I was teased. I was called names. I was called Blackie. I was called ugly. So what I did to get friends, I was intelligent. So what I did was I would do everybody's homework. So I figured if I did everybody's homework, they wouldn't tease me. And I also, we used to have a test called a California Achievement Test. So what I would do, everybody in the neighborhood, I would take their test. And if I take their test and I pass it, then they would be my friends. And, the fear of not being accepted, I can remember as a child, I used to talk to books. I would line them up in the house and I would play school with them because they couldn't talk back. They couldn't tease me.
Yeah.
So, my biggest fear my entire life was being accepted and feeling like I fit in somewhere. And I just couldn't find nowhere to fit in.
Yeah, my heart just breaks for you as a little girl. It does. Because, kids don't realize how mean they are and how cruel they are. And, and they make fun of you and they're ugly to you. And I actually was mentoring a young man the other day and he's in school and he's just getting bullied. And I'm like, honey, when you're an adult, those people are not going to matter. Like the people that hurt you are not going to matter. And I said, work hard and, love yourself. And the right people will be put into your path. And so, am I correct in saying you went to the military? Is that right?
Yes, I went into the military and I took all that low self-esteem, not feeling good enough. And
thank you for your service, not to interrupt you. But yes, thank you so much for your service. Oh, thank you.
And I got into, toxic relationships and, and I love the United States Air Force, it was just, I was just so proud of myself. But I got in there, got into a relationship, and you know how you trust people, because I'm struggling with self-esteem, thinking this man loved me. And, I had maybe a couple drinks and I went to his dorm and then I got gang raped. And my life just spiraled downhill from there. I didn't receive any mental health treatment, I got a life sanction of trauma and all he got was he just got barrack restrictions. They didn't believe me, back in those days when I went in, women weren't supposed to be in there. So as a direct result of me not receiving any kind of mental health treatment after the rape, I took and cut a guy. I got into another relationship. I got into a physical altercation with him. I went back to the barracks. I thought he was going to hurt me, so I wanted to hurt him before he hurt me. And of course, they got rid of me. So I got a bad conduct discharge, by the gift of prayer. I am now fighting, to see if they can upgrade my discharge, because no means no,
It
but it took me a
does.
long time. Yeah.
Yes, it does. And it
Hmm.
takes something from females whenever you take that from us, and that same, that happened to me, not exactly in that same way, but when something's taken from you, it takes and it replaces that with anger. And so with you cutting this man, I get that because I was
Hmm.
that person. I was like, I saw black and I saw like, if you mess with me, I will hurt you before you can hurt me. And so I totally understand where you are coming from with that. So, Carressa, I know drugs is a big part of your story. Can you tell us how that started and what happened from there?
So after I've always lived for my father's validation. He's deceased now. So I got out the military, and I had shame and guilt. I felt like I disappointed my family, and you usually attract people the way you feel, you
True that.
know. Um, so I went back to Baltimore, where I was raised, and I was introduced to this girl who introduced me to cocaine.
Mm,
And boy, all the shame and guilt was numbed. I know it wasn't right because, I was the child that stayed in the church, Pentecostal, apostolic, couldn't wear no earrings, no dresses. Yeah, I mean, you had to wear dresses, no makeup, no relationships. You got to be married, you can't be pregnant. So, I just feel like I had shamed the family. And once I
mm,
got that cocaine in me, it was just like, I had became Holly Berry. I could face everything. It gave me the courage to say that I can be who I want and I can fit in any crowd. And my disease just took off, because at a certain point, a certain drug stopped working for you. So then somebody introduced me to heroin. And then somebody introduced me to crack cocaine. I had 58 jail arrests. I was involved in human trafficking. In the process, I got pregnant. I had a daughter, that I neglected as a direct result of my disease of addiction.
sure.
The hardest thing was that my father, died, while I was in active addiction. I can remember they bailed me out because I was locked up, and I can remember, almost missing the funeral because I was next door trying to do some heroin before I could, suit up and show up for the funeral. You know, um, my life was terrible. I was eating out of trash cans, out of John Hopkins Hospital. My favorite story is that Too Tall, his mother, she saved my life. She took care of my daughter while I was in active addiction.
Yeah.
They raised her because I wasn't able. My daughter, she missed kindergarten, because the disease of addiction, just had me. But I know that the reason that I'm sober today is because my father kept praying. I got a praying
Amen.
family. I was filled with the
Amen.
Holy Ghost at a young age. I knew there was a God, but I felt I had disappointed him. But now I have a God of my understanding, that he understands my heart. I
Yeah.
believe that I was on the wings of my father. That's why I'm not dead. I'm still
Whew,
here.
that gives me chill
Yeah,
bumps.
yeah,
Whew,
yeah.
girl, that gives
And
me
I know
chill
he,
bumps.
yes, and I know he's looking down on me and
Yes.
saying, you know what, you finally got it. Prayer does work. I know if it wasn't for prayer, I wouldn't be here today.
No, I'm
Hmm.
right there with you. I want to touch on one subject because a lot of my listeners know that I was lured into human trafficking. So I'm very curious to know how you got involved in that. Was it a luring process, or how did that happen? Because I
Well, I
know
had a,
you were in that
mhm,
world of drugs and
right.
everything like that, right?
Hmm. So I had a friend that introduced me to someone so-called as a pimp. And she was like, I have a friend. You don't have to stand on a corner. You can make good money. And I thought because I was getting a dress that I had reached the top, but I didn't know all the money he was making, and I was selling my body, and he was getting the money.
Right.
So I was lured by a friend of a friend who was a friend of his that got me in. And you're talking about humiliating,
Yeah.
by the grace of God that I'm still here, because, you go into these places, you don't know who these people are. You don't know what's going to happen to you when you get there, but I told you, God had my back. When I
The
stopped
whole
praying,
time.
yes, yes, yes. And I was living proof that
Yeah,
God does work.
it
Yes.
is. It is. And that is a part that a lot of guys, I want you to know is even in the dark times where you feel alone, you're not. He's there with you. Even in the dirtiest, the darkest of the whatever, he's right there with you. And like you said, you know, being in church from a young little girl, you know, and filled with the Holy Spirit, it was in you that whole entire time. But because of what happened to you, the enemy said, I'm going to take her for a little while, but he didn't take you out. So then God said, I'm going to show. Yes, girl.
Yes, yes, he did.
Yes.
Yes, he did.
Yes. He did not take you out. And now what you are doing is absolutely amazing. Go ahead and tell us now what you're doing now, all the people you're helping now. I saw your YouTube, and one thing that spoke to my heart so much was it your aunt or your grandmother, or I'm not sure who
My mother.
It was your mother. Okay. And she said, even though you were on those drugs and even though you were going through that dark time, she still saw your heart. And that gave me chill bumps, because that is so true, guys. Even if the enemy is trying to make you feel like you are less than anything and that you are just dirt among dirt, let me tell you, God still loves you and he is still right there. Yes. So tell us how your life has turned around. Tell us, girl, I love this story. Tell us what all you're doing, who all you're helping. Tell us what's going on now.
So right now I work for the Chrysalis House Incorporation. It's so funny. I'm the program director of the treatment facility that I came to. You know, I was one of the first clients enrolled in Wabash Drug Court, and they sent me to a treatment facility. And I really wasn't ready to stop. I just knew that I didn't like my life. Yeah. So instead of being in jail, they sent me to this treatment facility. And whoever thought someone that was hooked on heroin and crack cocaine that would be the program director of this facility. So every day what I do is I come to work to give these ladies a shot of hope. I let them know that when people stop believing in them, I do. I tell them that I'm going to love them until they learn to love yourself. I know for me, I thought nobody loved me. When they walk through the door, the first thing I do is give them a hug and tell them that they're home. You know, my whole life is spent on helping another addict and alcoholic. You know, one of the gifts of sobriety is that my 7-year-old grandson, Peyton, has never seen me under the influence of alcohol and drugs.
Praise
I got a daughter who told me that if she had to write my obituary while I was using, she said, I would have said I wrote it as a stranger. She said, but if she write it today, I would be a phenomenal woman.
Yes.
So you know, my gift is to give back what was freely given to me. You know, my goal is to go into the city. I believe as long as you got breath, there's hope. I believe as long as there's a God and you can open your mouth, He hear your prayer. I believe that, you know, I went through everything I went through to become the person I am today. I believe, you know, me going through addiction has made me stronger. I know for a fact that I am a living testimony, and I know that I'm a success story.
Yes,
you know,
ma'am.
Yes, I started my own business called Streets to Executive Suites, you know, because it described my whole story. I was in the streets, and now I'm a program director of a 4.5 million company. You know, whoever thought that would happen, you know, but my greatest gift today is when a woman that's in treatment coming to me and say, Miss Carressa, I got my driver's license. Miss Carressa, you know, I just got a key to my apartment. Miss Carressa, you know, they giving my children back and they took them, and now we back together again. You know, so, you know, what I do on a daily basis, I just give back what was freely given to me. You know, I believe any addict that's seeking help, I'm going to be right there for them. I can't pick and choose who I help, because if people had to pick and choose not to help me, I don't know where I would be. I believe in second chances. I believe in a God. I believe that if you don't have one, you can use mine until you get one.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes. Because I mean, honestly, when you were on drugs and everything like that, you know, because I was on cocaine as well. And it numbs it. It makes you feel good, but then it wears off. So then you need something else to make you feel a little bit better. And then, you know, whatever that choice of drug is, it's always trying to get that feeling back. And when you let God take your life over and give it all to Him, you have that feeling 24/7. There is no drug that can come close to that. Absolutely nothing that can come close. And I see that all over your face. I see you radiating right now. And that should give so many people hope in knowing, once again, you're not alone, because so many people feel isolated and they feel like nobody understands what I've been through. And honey, you've been through a lot. Have you wrote a book?
No, I'm trying to get somebody to help me write a book.
Girl, I will
Yeah.
help you. I will help
Okay.
you.
All
Just
righty.
sit
We're gonna
down.
do it.
Just sit down and start writing, because I'm telling you, your story is going to inspire so many
Mhm.
people. And
Yes.
it is absolutely incredible. And I know that God has so much in store for you. Even, I mean, what you're doing now is absolutely incredible, but even more to reach even more people. I believe that because you are a true shining testimonial example of what God can do in somebody's life, that and how
Yes.
he can
Yes. Yes.
turn fear into faith. Because just listening to a little bit of your story and what you've been through, there was a lot of fear there. A lot.
Yes.
I can imagine probably decades of fear in just
Yes.
everything from where you went to the store to where you did, and now you
Mhm.
are helping other women to break that fear and to have faith and to get their kids back and to get their lives back, and you're helping them do that is so beautiful. Like, you're
Mhm.
an amazing soul. Like, I love you. You
I
are just
love you too.
incredible.
I
I am
love you
just
too.
I'm just so honored to know you. I
Mhm.
just am. And it's I, I mean, you got me speechless, girl. And it takes a lot to get Jody Paar speechless. It's
Yeah.
not real easy to get me speechless over here. But I'm definitely just fighting back the tears, and I'm just so inspired by you,
Mhm.
because when people see prostitutes on the side of the road, or they see drug addicts, and they look
Hmm.
at those people and they think, oh, they're just a waste of space, or they look what they're doing with their lives, and people have no idea the story that goes behind that person.
And which is true. It's
You
true.
know, it's
And
it's
you know what, Jody, is really, it's not coincidental that you and I, that this is about fear. Because I go in front of the Air Force Board on April the 2nd, and you're talking about full of fear. But for me to come on and show and understand that, I got to walk through that with faith. I
yes,
know that everything that's
yes,
supposed to happen is going to happen, but it's not
yes,
coincidence. It's just God way of telling me, I need you to rest. I got this. I'm going to take it out of
yes,
your hand and put it in his hand. But I said it's not a coincidence, that my board hearing is on the 2nd, and then I come and we're talking about fear, because I
yes.
got a lot of fear, but, I think
Honey, I
everything.
gotta say it.
Mhm.
Every single Goliath will fall. I'm gonna speak that right now. Every Goliath
Hey,
will fall. Hey, sister, you
hey,
are a David.
okay.
You walk in there a David. It doesn't matter how big they are. It don't matter how you are a David, and you have God on your side, and that's all that matters.
Yep.
And justice needs
Hmm.
to be in your hands for what you went through. So
Yep.
I'm gonna be praying that up.
All
I'm gonna be
righty.
praying that up, girl.
Me too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
me too. Oh, it's so
Absolutely.
good when you can tell when people have a God spirit because we connect. And that's what this Chrysalis House is, God centered.
I
And
love
if it's
that.
God centered, can't nothing come and attack us. This place is God
Mm-mm.
centered.
And it's the
So
best healing. There's no other healing like it. It's a
nope.
healing that it takes the place of it, and it's not just temporary. It is, and it's work. I mean, it's work. You've got to let go of who hurt you, and that's some of the hardest things to do. Is we get
Hmm.
anger and we get mad, and then we think we're hurting them by holding on to this anger, and it's not. It's hurting ourselves. And so I know you help a lot of people forgive those who hurt them. And
Yes.
so that is beautiful that you do that. So listeners, guys watching on YouTube, make sure that you lift up Miss Carressa going into this courtroom. And it's the 2nd. Is that tomorrow?
April the 2nd.
April 2nd. Whoo, I was about to say. All right, so
Hey.
we got a whole month to get
Yeah.
prayer warriors, God's army ready and pray over this woman that when she walks in there, she is a David all day long.
All
Yes.
righty.
Yes, honey. Yes. All
Yes.
right. So I know that I probably have some listeners that really maybe want to get in touch with you. Maybe they want to know how they can get enrolled in the Chrysalis houses, or how they can
Hmm.
be a part of that.
Hmm.
Can you let all of our listeners know how they can follow you? Like, a lot of people like to follow on social media, or I know you have a YouTube. So just
Right.
any
Hmm.
and every way that anybody can find you.
Well, you can find me on my YouTube with Carressa Christian. That's Carressa Christian, like the religion. Yes.
Yes.
And also, if you would like to get enrolled at the Chrysalis House, that number is 410-974-6829. And you just ask to speak to Todd Portman or either Carressa Christian, and we will make sure if we can help you, we will help you. You know, the best thing to do is ask for help, and we'll be there. You know, you just got to ask for help. I think I'm on my phone 24/7. You know, people call me all through the night. I'm the only person that people, when they overdose, they call me. But I'm telling you, you know, ain't no fentanyl out there better than my grandson, and a high that I get from him, and a high that I get from serving my high power. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I love that. Absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you so much for being on
Thank
here.
you.
You are
Thank
radiant. I
you.
just love you to pieces. And I'm be praying you up, girl. We're going to stay connected.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. All my listeners, thank you so much for watching. My name is Jody Paar. You can find me on social media, Jody, JodyPaar. And I also have my website, jodypar.com. Thank you guys for listening. You know, I love you all. I hope this motivated you, inspired you, got you excited. Maybe you're listening to this and you're like, I know somebody that needs to hear this right now. Please share it. Please share it. You never, ever know whose life you can save. Every single person's life is important. And, you know, honestly, social media is a great way to spread love and to spread this faith over fear, to let people know they do not have to live in the fear that they're living in, and that no matter what they go through, there's always stories. And I know a lot of people relate to these stories, and you think you're by yourself, but you're not. So please know that, and please make sure to share this. I appreciate you again. Thank you, Carressa. I appreciate you so much. And
Alrighty.
I love you. And
I
thank you
love you
guys for
too.
listening.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye.